It is official, ladies and gentlemen. The Chicago Bulls have been eliminated from postseason contention, which, yes, includes the play-in. The Bulls will not be in the play-in for the fourth straight season after the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. They are out. They will be a lottery team, which we all know was going to be the case, right? But tonight's loss, it makes it official. And look, I saw a few people, not many, but a few people on the socials in disbelief that the Bulls completely fell apart in the fourth quarter and lost this game. But come on now, you didn't really think the Bulls were actually winning this, right? There was no way the Thunder were going to keep playing the way they were through the first three quarters. Don't get me wrong, valiant effort on the part of the Bulls through three quarters. Well, I should say 2.5 quarters. They really started falling apart in the final minutes in the third as the Thunder went on that 22-0 run towards the end of the third quarter. Never looked back after that, but up until that point, the Bulls looked better than I expected. The Twitter timeline would have gone nuts had the Bulls somehow, in fact, pulled out a win, especially with the amount of shots Colin Sexton was getting up. But luckily, crisis was averted. I think what surprised me the most in the first half was actually just how much the Bulls were stepping up defensively and matching the Thunder's energy. Yes, the Thunder weren't playing their best basketball. SGA couldn't buy a basket from outside, but they locked in on the perimeter. They were scrappy inside, the Bulls meaning, not the Thunder. And then on offense, what was shocking to me, again, only in the first half, but it was shocking to me how well they were taking care of the ball despite the Thunder's suffocating defense as the best defensive team in the NBA right now. They were finding guys inside. They were moving the ball around the perimeter. Shooting was but they were making the right plays. Some great pick and roll lob actions. Again, I was surprised because it's the Thunder. They are the best defensive team in the league by defensive rating. Of course, it all fell apart in the end. The Thunder's defense finally locked in the second half where they realized they can't keep messing around or they might actually end up losing this game. Then, of course, the shots just weren't falling for the Bulls. The turnovers became more prevalent. SGA started getting the calls that he was looking for. And then you sort of realized the Bulls were never really going to stand a chance. But generally speaking, like as much as we call this a nice first half from the Bulls against the defending champs, I can't really say there was that much to really write home about in this game as far as the Bulls' future young core goes, with the exception of Leonard Miller, who we'll get to in a sec, which, first of all, crazy that we're now in a place where we're talking about Leonard Miller potentially being part of the Bulls' young core. But, I mean, as far as Modest and Josh Giddey go, not a great game for them, either of them. Both of them really struggled to knock down shots. Giddey was 0 for 8 from 3, 1 for 11 overall, just one made field goal. He also had 5 turnovers, 5 of the Bulls' 12 turnovers. We saw a lot of those dangerous passes and drives inside where Giddey gets caught in a bad spot and is forced to throw it away. Yeah, he had 7 rebounds and 11 assists. That's nice, but Giddey was really struggling to get his rhythm going, and it was especially bad on defense in the second half where he was letting guys blow by him, not pushing his way through screens. I guess I just sort of expected this to be a Josh Giddey revenge type game against his former team in OKC, and he ended up coming out flat. And then Modest Bucelis, he still managed to put up 15 points, but struggled to get his offense going as well. Was 6 for 13 from the floor, 1 for 7 from 3. He did have 9 rebounds, only 1 turnover though, but he had a rough night going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder bigs. And then Rob Dillingham, 16 minutes, 2 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. Got himself a technical foul, too, for complaining to the refs. So, yeah, nothing to get excited about with the way Rob showed out tonight. And then, of course, Colin Sexton. He was great. 22 points on 8 for 14 shooting, 5 for 7 from 3. Brought the energy in keeping up transition play, pushing the pace. But, again, Sexton playing the way that he's been playing kind of doesn't really matter for the Bulls and their long-term future, as he's likely not going to be here after this season. And as I've said so many times, I love that Sexton plays hard. I love that he brings a sense of heart and passion to the game. I love that he builds his teammates up and gets them motivated to play hard, but Sexton going off, it just doesn't really move me. And it's because it doesn't matter for the Bulls. That said, Leonard Miller, he's still showing up well. Yeah, he still has a lot of pieces to his game that he needs to work out, like his shot. Some of his ball handling needs to be improved, but he's active, man. He's always moving. He's always finding ways to get open, to crash the offensive boards, to get second chance points. He's not jogging back after his team puts up a shot. He's down there. He's ready for it. He fights for the loose balls, operates pretty well in the pick and roll. Yeah, he missed a lot of shots tonight. He went 6 for 17, but another 15 points, 7 rebounds. He took the most shots on the team in this game coming off the bench. Leonard Miller, seeing when he plays out there, is the player I always was hoping Patrick Williams would eventually be. Talented 3 or 4 that moves well, is skilled, but Pat never brought the same energy. It's almost like Pat didn't want to put in the work to be that kind of player that wanted to make the most of the opportunity being given to him. Pat tonight, man, yikes. 1 for 8, 4 points. At least he didn't put in more minutes than Miller did. That would have drove me insane if Patrick Williams was still getting in more run than Leonard Miller. Isaac Okoro actually had a decent game coming back into the starting lineup. He guarded SGA well in the first half. Like, there was a reason why SGA wasn't getting good looks in the first quarter, and it's because Okoro was hounding him. But the defensive side, he was also great on offense as one of the few players who actually shot the ball well, was 7 for 13, 3 for 5 from 3, 20 points, 4 rebounds, no turnovers. And then Tre Jones, I know I keep saying it, but it seems like Tre Jones never really does anything wrong. He's just always solid when he's on the court. One of the few players on this team you can consistently rely upon. 21 points on 8 for 12 from the floor, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, a steal, and a block. I know I called this out in my hot takes video, but this offseason is going to get more and more interesting. I know I called this out in my last hot takes video, but this offseason is going to get more and more interesting with what the Bulls do with Tre Jones and the type of interest he's potentially going to garner from contending teams looking for a backup point guard on a cheap contract. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, not a surprising loss, even if it looked like the Bulls might have actually had a chance to win. But with no Jalen Smith, no Nick Richards, Bulls had to go really small in this game in the front court. And then, of course, as I'm sure most of you all are aware by now, no Jaden Ivey for the rest of the season as well. Not ideal since we barely got to see him play before he's set to hit restricted free agency. That will be a topic for a different day, and whether the Bulls give him the 1-year qualifying offer, a short-term or long-term extension, or potentially even just letting him walk to go to another team. We've got 9 more games left of this, guys. Only 9 more to go, and the next one is actually tomorrow on the second night of a back-to-back in Memphis. This was slated to be a more interesting game initially in the tank standings, but right now there's so much separation between Memphis and the Bulls that it's really not going to do much, even if the Bulls do in fact lose to the Grizzlies tomorrow night. The Bulls are going to finish with either the 9th or 10th best lottery odds. It's between them and Milwaukee. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought of the game. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.